It's amazing what you can manage to do in a couple of hours when you set your mind to it. I did these 4 quick sketches and 4 quick paintings using Rebelle 5. Of course, it takes 2 people to be able to produce a creative effort like this. We tend to hear a lot about the artist and the artist's process and what the artist's thinking about. But in this new series, what I'd like to do is to try and dig a little more into what the modelling experience is like from the model's perspective, what they're able to bring, what it means to them, what it feels like to be able to be part of the creative process. So join me in this new series to find out as we draw and chat to a life model. My name's Pete. Welcome to Basement Picasso. So I'd like to introduce our model for today. Catarina is somebody that I've been working with for quite a number of months now. You can find her on Instagram. And one of the things that I've always really liked about working with Catarina is the elegance and dynamism that she manages to bring to the poses, that when we work together, she brings a tremendous creative energy and has a lot of awareness of what she's trying to help produce from a creative perspective. You can find Catarina on Instagram. I'm sure she would love to hear from you if you're interested in doing some collaborative work together. So Catarina and I have been working together for a number of months, and I really enjoy the experience of working with her. I've drawn her in shared online Zoom life drawing classes, and we've also worked together quite a number of times just one-to-one, which has been a really interesting and creative experience, because we obviously get a chance to spend a bit more time chatting while we work, getting to know each other, which for me has been really good to find out a bit more and just get a sense of the person beyond just the visual representations. So for me, it's been a real pleasure. This is a really good model to work with, somebody I would highly recommend. So let's have a look at some of the work that we were able to do together in this session. So how long have you actually been modelling for then?
I've been modeling for about 1 year now. Actually, my first session was around February last year, so yeah, it's 1 year and 1 month, something like that.
What was it that first got you into doing some modelling?
I was living with my partner, and she models for a long time, especially in person, for about 8 years. But with the pandemic and with the situation changing from personal to online, she was doing a few sessions of those, and once she invited me to do a duet with her, and I accepted, and a few weeks after that I contacted one of her friends that was a host that was hosting sessions to do one solo session, and then it kind of began to happening. I was looking more and more for different hosts, and at the same time I was learning a lot about the setup of camera, lighting, poses, but I had a lot of help as well. So in a way I was kind of guided into it, And then at some point, I could see that I was already discovering something that I was able to do on my own, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So what does it feel like when you get to see the artwork that's produced at the end of a session?
It always amazed me because I don't have any background in making art myself, like painting. I always thought I was really not good at it. So it was kind of the opposite because I thought I was never good at it. I never really tried, and I had, but I'm fascinated by paintings. But because I started modeling without having that vision of making a paint, I started modeling first. It was really surprising to see the different interpretations of what I was giving to each artist, and what am I seeing in my camera, in my screen, and then see a completely either it depends, because either it can be realistic or more abstract, but it's always such an amazing thing to see different interpretations of what I do, especially when I think, oh, this is going to be when I try to project, that's when I get more surprised, because the expectations that I have, even though they're not bad expectations, they are like just a projection of what I think it would end up like. It's always so different from what I think it's gonna be. So it's really, really, really amazing to see the artwork.
So when you're doing your sort of modelling sessions, do you tend to have sets of sort of poses you tend to use, or do you tend to try and sort of do different things as much as possible each time?
Yeah, I try to do different poses each time, because first I was trying to do that, have a set of poses that I would use, but then I realized that I started to not knowing which poses I used with who.
Yeah.
And that was an advice from my partner as well. She said that just try to always do a different pose, because in that way you're certain that you're always keeping it interesting, reinventing yourself, and the person is seeing that for the first time for sure. And of course there are some poses that my body go easily to, but I try to fight that, because and I really want to keep things dynamic and interesting for each person I'm working with. So I always try to do something new each time. Is this okay?
Yeah, no, that's looking really good. I'm going to put that in the category of challenging to draw.
Nice.
When you're looking at the camera, are you looking at me or are you looking at yourself to see what you're modeling?
I'm looking at myself. I hate to say that because I don't want to sound egocentric, but I'm looking at myself and I'm looking to see if I don't do any adjustments sometimes. Because, for example, in this pose, it would be easy that my legs started to be lazy and just go, you know. So I define a couple of points, like angle points, that if it starts to go away, I know where it should be.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, I mean, if I had a choice, I would look at you rather than me as well. So.
Yeah, and because you're at the moment you're in the tiny. I made myself big, and you're like tiny.
I'm a tiny little head in the corner.
Yeah. So I can see your space, a bit of skin in your face, and a shirt, a blue shirt.
No, you're not missing much, don't worry.
I don't know, do you think it's uncomfortable when models look at the screen and it looks like they're looking at the camera?
Not usually, no. It's I mean, it definitely gives it a slightly different dynamic if, you know, a model's really totally engaged with you and, you know, you've got, you know, complete sort of eye contact. And I guess that for me kind of comes from having started off with a lot of kind of class-based life drawings. You know, you've got a model in the middle and generally they're not looking at you because, you know, there's so many people around the room. It's almost guaranteed somebody else is kind of looking at the model. But yeah, once you start working with people, you know, one-to-one, whether it's at home or on Zoom, then obviously, you know, it's got a sort of slightly different kind of dynamic to it. But no, I mean, that's one of the reasons I enjoy working with people kind of one-on-one, is that, you know, it's a more personal kind of experience and you get a bit of time with the person and it, you know, it feels like you are drawing the individual, not just kind of a person in a room, which gives it a slightly different sort of sense, I guess. So in terms of modelling and the kind of money side of things, how do you feel in terms of, you know, does the money make it worthwhile, or, you know, do you kind of get more out of it than that, or do you think models are kind of, you know, they paid what they're deserved, or they underpaid, or, you know, what do you think about that?
I think it's worth it. And I mean, with different. Sometimes, if you're speaking with different artists in different realities, you have to make adjustments. But for example, in Portugal, there are not that many people that could afford, for example, the price that we're doing, for example. But so you have to be aware that different realities request different expectations as well.
Yeah.
But in general, I mean, I consider myself really, really lucky because I've been having um, I can at the moment rely financially on it, like 100%. It's because theater now, it's a bit in Portugal, at least it's not happening with the same frequency, with the same amount of shows that they were, and they're not, this economic situation is not the best as well. So I think it's a plus, definitely, to being able to rely on it financially, and for me it's worth it, for what I've been hearing, online. It's also something happened online, which is it's a bit more valued, the work as well. So in a way, I think it's a plus, because you have more offer, but you also have more requests, and you can create a fair community that at the same time is more aware of the prices that are around the world, the different realities. So you can start to build a more fair network, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting in that sense, in terms of, you know, how things like Zoom have kind of opened up what's effectively now a global market that, you know, I think from the model's perspective, it's increasingly, it doesn't matter where you are or where you're based, it's about who you're able to deal with, and, you know, effectively getting access to markets that would never have been there. And, you know, if you can't physically be in that country, then, you know, you could never do that kind of work. And yeah, it's been interesting for me in terms of, you know, how many models all around the world have kind of been involved in things recently, as the, you know, the whole, obviously starting with the kind of COVID situation, but how it's just opened everything up, and, you know, given probably a lot of people a lot of kind of opportunities that maybe weren't there before, I guess.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with that. In terms of opportunities, I feel like it was a reality that opened so much more opportunities for artists and models as well. I mean, the diversity that you're able to get online. Of course, I've been working with people that really value more modeling in person, and that's legit. I mean, I can understand the connection, or I can understand that it could be different, and I felt it when I modeled in person. But at the same time, the opportunities and the connections that you can make by modeling online, or by having an online model, they are so much more diverse, and I can assume that brings something more to the art as well. You being able to connect, and maybe connect deeply with more people that are not in the same physical reality than you.
Yeah, I mean, that was really kind of what surprised me, the first time I tried a Zoom session, because I thought about it and put it off for quite a long time, and then eventually sort of signed up for one. And it was exactly that. What surprised me was at the end, when everybody was kind of showing the work that they'd done, and because you'd all been drawn from the same model, same poses, you had a real, kind of comparison, which even in a sort of regular life drawing class, you don't always get quite to the same degree, and you never get that many people. Some of the Zoom classes, there's dozens, if not practically hundreds of people on them. So the variety of work that you get to see is tremendous, and you get this little communities that kind of build up in terms of what people are doing. So yeah, it was that side of things as much as the models, getting to see different people, and just the combination of the two, I just thought worked actually really well, and that was kind of what really got me into it in the first place. So when you're posing like this, do you prefer it if you're sort of chatting to the artist, or do you like sort of peace and quiet to just kind of zone out and concentrate?
I think it depends on the person, but I think for me, I prefer chatting, even if it doesn't have to be the whole session, but to engage into each other's energy at that day. But I mean, there are people who just wants to meditate, and that's totally fine, because I use that time to think about things as well. But I think it's also nice when you build a relationship where you can have conversations, or if suddenly a bit like, not a bit, I mean, I totally think that about you and me. It's like we can have a conversation, but if for 20 minutes we are silent, it's not awkward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that level of trust where you know that silence is not because it's not because we are uncomfortable. It's because we are in our own heads, or focusing, or just needing that space to be in silence.
So I think you said you've done some modelling in sort of real life as well. Is that kind of regular thing, or is that just something you've done occasionally?
No, I only done it occasionally. I did maximum 5 times, I think, 6 times. I did, no, maybe a bit more, because I did 4 sessions with an individual person here in Lisbon, and then another 3 with another person. But I only did 2 group sessions in person.
Right.
One in Coimbra, in Portugal, and then another one in the UK. And I think I prefer to do it online, in a way, because whether you want it or not, and I've been lucky enough to been working always with respectful people, but online, whether you want it or not, whether you're looking for it or not, it imposes a different type of boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that you're in the comfort of your own space. But the 2 group sessions that I did, I was really nervous, because I was nervous because it was a lot of people, and I didn't know anybody, except in the UK. The person who invited me, I've been working with her for a long time, so I was really nervous for both, and they were really chill to do. But yeah, I think I prefer it online, in a way.
Does
But
it
that,
does it just give it more of a sort of sense of control and kind of being in charge of things a bit?
yeah, I think so. It might be just because I started online. I also thought about that,
Right.
because I got I got the confidence and the comfort uh, through online instead of through person instead of in person. It might be because of that, but I also think it's related to what you said. It gives a sense of a bit more of a sense of control of I wouldn't say security, because as I was saying, I always try to work with people that I know that are respectful and kind, and that makes a difference as well, I think.
Yeah. It's funny, even though we're working on Zoom, I have this strange compulsion to ask you if you're warm enough. Like I want to come and turn up the heater for you.
No, yeah, but I am warm enough, thank you. I have a heater directly on me.
Yeah, I think when it comes to posing, I think a lot of people, when they first sort of start out with modelling, think it's just getting naked, being naked is going to be the hard part of it. But in my experience with working with a lot of people is you kind of get over that in about 20 minutes flat kind of thing. It's the hard work is actually the posing and holding poses and coming up with ideas and all that kind of thing. That's I think that's the bit that people kind of underestimate in terms of what it's actually going to take to do.
Yeah, because it's always the first thing that you think. It's like, am I going to be able to be naked in front of at first a stranger, and then you start realizing that that's the least important thing that you have to think about. And there are so many things that you think first that are crucial to keep a session interesting, to keep the connection awake, in a way, to create that connection, to be dynamic, to create a good composition, to understand as well what the artist is looking for, because different people are looking for different things, and you can also adjust that. And it's nice when you figure that out, because you're going towards what moves the artist, or it can be the other way around too. If the artist is open to do whatever moves you, that's also interesting.
I think you've sneakily chosen a pose where you can just quietly go to sleep and nobody will notice.
No. I have some really active muscles, don't worry.
Got about another 5 minutes. Are you okay with that?
Yes, thank you.
Just making sure your arms aren't falling asleep or something.
No, thanks.
I'm thinking that's probably a slightly more challenging pose compared to some of the other ones.
Maybe for the wrists, but if I rotate them a bit, fine. I've noticed that I'm a lot stronger since I started modeling, which is kind of ironic because I just stand still, but at the same time, there are a lot of times that I'm supporting my own weight in certain poses. So especially in my arms, I've noticed that I'm stronger.
I mean, that doesn't come as any surprise to me at all. It's like what we were saying earlier in terms of, a lot of people just underestimate how physical it is. You are not just sitting there, relaxing. It's a lot of the time really hard work. And I think it's one of the things I try and make sure that models appreciate that I appreciate what they're doing. It's physically and emotionally sort of a lot that people are putting into it.
Yeah, it's really beautiful when you communicate that, Pete. Thank you.
What? Sorry?
It's really beautiful when you communicate that. Thank you.
No, I mean, it's something I mean very sincerely. I try never to take what models do for granted. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of effort. So yes, it's very much appreciated. Okay, I think that's us just about time up. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Pete. I'm gonna turn you because it's easy for me to see. Now you're on big screen, so I hope you feel important.
I'm no longer a little head.
Yeah. Oh, you have glasses. Wow.
I do, yeah. I very definitely have glasses, yes.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Thank you for the session. Really lovely to share my thoughts with you, being able to do it. And thank you for sharing your thoughts as well.
No, it was really good. It was, I mean, obviously we've sort of chatted before, but it was quite nice just to, kind of dig into some of it and get some insight. I think, one of the things is hopefully, sharing this. I don't know if it'll sort of inspire other models or new people to try it or that sort of thing, or maybe just help give people a bit more kind of appreciation to kind of what goes into it. So, you know, I think people do take a lot of it for granted in terms of, you know, there's just a model there, you know, that they're just there to be drawn, you know, they're not really doing anything, you know, and it's just, it's not the case. Right, let's show you some pictures. Is that coming through okay for you?
Yeah, beautiful.
So the first 4 were just little sketches.
Wow. Really cool. I like that you like this lighting. I really love this lighting, to be able to make shapes with it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm quite tonal in what I do, so I mean, I much prefer setups that have got quite a strong light source and something that's casting quite a bit of shadow.
Yeah.
And also just in terms of, you know, showing more of the form, it's much better if there's stronger light. I know some of the sessions I attend, other people like, they're more about sort of outline drawing, so they tend to have really flat light and,
yeah,
you know, there's no shadows, there's no tonal kind of contrast, and that I find those sessions really hard because there's nothing for me to draw. You know, the outlines are kind of the last bit that I tend to get to. So.
Oh wow. Really amazing texture in the hair. Wow. Cool.
Little bits of text and yeah, a nice pose, nice kind of sort of triangle sort of going on in that one.
Nice. Well, you did quite well, really. Not hard at all.
Yeah, you were certainly making it a bit more challenging, but yeah, I mean that's a really nice pose actually.
Yeah, you did great. There's a lot of shapes there.
Yeah.
Now that I see it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I mean I kind of tailed off with the sort of hands and the feet. I think I told you before that I think one of the very first times I've had somebody modelling for me, she did this really amazing pose, but it was like all her fingers and all her toes in one kind of thing. And it looked very nice, but I looked at her and went, I couldn't draw that in a month of Sunday.
Yeah, but I like it when you kind of make the hands or the feet disperse into, even if they are in first, the first, I don't know how to say it in English, but like in the first road.
Yeah. No, it's it's a bit sort of playing sort of lost and found, and just kind of letting go of bits of detail, and I mean that's for me, that's what these kind of quick sketches are. They're about finding the interest in the picture, and you know, the bits of contrast that you want to bring out, and then the bits where you want to lose details, and you know, and just kind of get that kind of contrast. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was quite pleased with that one. That was really good. And then
that blue is amazing.
So yeah, with these ones, I'd sort of made a background previously, so you'll notice the background's almost identical in all of these ones because I was painting on that. I just copied it and painted on it each time.
I love the black line in the calf. Yeah, that part.
Yeah.
How do you call it?
Yeah, that's the calf muscles. Yeah.
Yeah, calf muscle. It makes it outstand really beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, this is the part of the sort of style I'm gravitating towards is starting really sort of rough and loose, and then only bring drawing in once I'm sort of so far into the actual painting, so that there's like, you know, there's no lines. In fact,
Yeah, and the white there above the body is gorgeous.
See if we can find it.
Really cool. Well done, Pete.
Thank you.
See, that's the thing. When I do the poses, I'm not expecting anything, but I'm seeing something for 10 minutes, and then suddenly you present that, and I'm like, whoa, that's so cool.
I don't know if that's coming through for you. So these are
yeah, it is.
time lapse for. So I've done a time lapse for each of the drawings, but so you can see that it's like it all gets kind of really loosely sort of blocked in to begin with, just to get, it's more about colours and things to begin with, and just kind of big shapes, so that you're not spending ages doing this like really tight drawing and then kind of doing paint by numbers and kind of filling it in. So that way you get much more kind of colours blending together and just kind of finding kind of interesting things within it.
And it has so many layers. It's impressive.
I mean, the art package itself is really good in terms of just feeling really kind of realistic and natural, and just letting you kind of build stuff up quite effectively.
Wow.
Yeah, those lines just kind of went in at the end just to bring out a bit of the shape and sort of separate it, because I didn't have time to really kind of paint in the edges, but
but it does make a difference.
Yeah,
making it pop up.
I think in this one I'm almost sort of gravitating to these sort of shapes here, and the little bits kind of between the legs, or that there's actually a lot of interest in that kind of area, and if I was doing more with that, it might be actually losing more of the detail in the head and the hand, because actually it's this bit up here that's the there's the real interest in the piece. And if you do a lot of detail in here and a lot of detail in the face and the hands, then you kind of jump backwards and forwards between them maybe.
Do you decide what kind of detail matters to you in a pose, or do you feel it, for example, in that one when you said that was the part that matters? Is that a conscious decision, or is it just the composition, the way you see it?
Most of them are just a complete exploration. I mean, you'll notice when you watch kind of like the video playback of these things, it'll start in a different part of the body every time, and there's no kind of immediate, right, this is the focal point, or this is the bit. It is very much just anything in the image. It's just a whole kind of exploration, and I think that's starting sort of quite loose and big kind of helps with that, because it stops you focusing on something too quickly. You can just experiment with it a bit. So that was that one, and that's the next one. Wow. So there's some really nice shapes in that, I think.
That feet is amazing. So abstract, but so there.
It's just enough to convince you. I think that's the.
Yeah, but it's amazing, and the upper body as well.
Yeah, there's a nice light. I mean, your leg was really in quite dark shadow, and the tricky bit was actually your foot, because the sort of shadows casting on it just actually there was almost like a straight line, and you lost all the kind of the edge, the shape of the foot and the heel and things, which was actually really quite tricky. So yeah, I kind of sort of simplified it down, but overall there's actually it's a really nice sort of structure to the pose. It's quite good.
Wow. The shapes are so fascinating, I mean, the pillow on the below the feet, it's so cool. The colors are so fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, the way I would talk about it is there's a really good structure to the picture. You know, you've got the kind of verticals, the angles, and things just kind of leading you in. So.
Yeah, and that's so interesting. For example, in that pose and the one after, I was looking at myself. I was looking at the pose, not myself, but I was looking at the screen, and I was like, oh, I left the other pillow there. It's a mess. Now the space is completely ruined, and suddenly it works because you're looking in a different perspective than me. I was like, I should have cleaned it, just put it aside. So
no, I mean, it's funny because, you know, I'm an incredibly literal painter. You know, I can only really paint what's in front of me. I can't do imaginative stuff at all. I don't even try. But you know, when you've got stuff there, you can make adjustments. You know, you can leave things out, or you can, you know, visually move things around. So it's much easier to play with things if they're kind of there but not quite right. You know, or you get the classic sort of things where you get coincidence, where you get, you know, like a straight line from something comes down and then is tangent with, you know, somebody's head or something. So you need to kind of move things around a wee bit. But it's much easier for me, and you know, to just work from what's there and then make little adjustments with it. And that was the last one.
Oh wow. So beautiful. Yeah, and you managed to capture that this kind of lighting really well, because your shadows are always so they give it so much depth to the figure. I don't know if this makes sense, but yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah, I mean, that, as I say, I mean, that's what I'm kind of drawn to, is, you know, tonal structure and good lighting that gives you that kind of form and cast shadows and things. So yeah, there's a lot of interest in that, and I think for me the pose that was, there's a lot of kind of strength and a lot of kind of confidence and a lot of real kind of direct engagement. You know, it felt it felt really close. You know, it was sort of more personal actually than some of the other ones that you know, it just felt like it was kind of not just physically, but, you know, kind of in terms of a kind of connection, actually that felt much closer, which was really good.
Nice. Thank you, Pete. Really beautiful art.
You are welcome. And
I'm really proud to be working with you, really. Thank you.